So we had a technical glitch, which was my fault, and we lost this last half, so I'm just going to go back and recap where we left off. The adrenal glands, we talked about the epinephrine and norepinephrine and some of the things that they do. Then we went on to talk about gonads, testes, and ovaries. Testes produce androgens. The most famous example is testosterone. And of course, they regulate sperm development, and they also produce secondary male sex characteristics at puberty. The ovaries, for the female counterpart to that, produce estrogens, which simulate the uterine lining and secondary female characteristics. They also produce progesterone, which is a hormone that promotes uterine lining growth as well, but it also inhibits the maturation and release of egg cells from the ovary. So in a way, when you get pregnant, you don't want any more eggs being released, and so the progesterone that's secreted can inhibit the maturation and release of egg cells. So we often use progesterone as a form of birth control in birth control pills to inhibit the maturation of egg cells. It's kind of like tricking your body into thinking you're permanently pregnant almost. And then we had the pineal gland. Melatonin is the hormone secreted by it, and it regulates a lot of our biorhythms, our sensitivities to day and night, lengths of days. This time of year, in the fall, we start to see the days getting shorter. People who work night shifts, they often have struggles because they're sort of going against their natural biorhythm. People who live in the far north, where they get 6 months of darkness and 6 months of daylight, there's issues with that as well. And the melatonin is a key regulator in sort of how our body responds to those rhythms. So, when it's daylight, we tend to feel more awake, and when it gets dark, we fall into a natural sleepiness, and those cycles keep going. And of course, there's also some psychological effects to seasonal changes and daylight changes that are regulated by melatonin and can be treated by adding melatonin artificially through medication. And so those are the glands. Those are all the hormones, or some of the hormones that we'll be sort of looking at. We're going to, in particular, look very closely at insulin, glucagon, in the regulation of blood sugar, and we'll look at the calcitonin and the parathyroid hormone as they regulate blood calcium as two examples of how these things regulate and keep the homeostatic balance that we're looking for. I mentioned too that a lot of these hormones, if we go back to the top here, some of them are stimulated by sensory perceptions, nervous system activation through our senses. Some of them are stimulated by changes in concentrations of chemicals, but some of them are stimulated by each other. So, some of the hormones can be stimulated by another hormone that's been secreted. So you get this sort of multi-level effect. For instance, the testes and ovaries, the androgens and estrogens that are produced here can be influenced by things like luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone and so on. But that just gives us an overview. So that finishes up where we lost our glitch at the adrenal glands. This little bit extra here. You can check that out. I suppose if I give you maybe I should stop shaking it all around and leave it here for a minute. You could pause on that to get that part. And then you can pause on this part to get that part. And that's it.